Jen, want to test your mic?
No.
Okay.
This is Vance.
Sue?
This is Sue.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of notice.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'd like to say apologize for that little thing. I twisted the wrong way. Yeah.
Good morning.
Do a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Jennifer Smiley. Beverly Hasty.
Here.
Ann Ozinger.
Here.
Susan Muniak.
Here.
Jean Hare.
Here.
Barry Burgess. Larry Algren.
Here.
Jerry Beers.
Yeah. Dale, you have to leave the auditorium, please.
When the sheriff is pointing me out.
Well,
They just called the sheriff because I'm trespassing. In the auditorium that I pay fees every month to be in. Maybe everybody that had the party last week in the court.
Let's adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes, please.
Maybe everybody that had the party on the court should be arrested for trespassing. Maybe all, but I don't see what happened yesterday during the weekend here should be, in trouble.
we adjourned for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
They're not good folks yet. And after what I just said, I tried to be nice. I ran out of people from Facebook in here. I did, I do nice things like. Thank you. It'll be short. It'll be understand.
We're gonna wait in the lobby until we vote.
I'd like to call it back to order again. Disposition. John, did you put?
Yes, the meeting was posted 48 hours prior.
Thank you. Disposition of our minute meetings, please. And
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented for the January 20th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
second by Sue. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is to open the meetings to the residents. I'd like to make a motion to open up the meeting to the residents. Only two people living in the same household can sit side by side, everybody else is 6 feet apart. If they don't adhere to what we say, we stop the meeting. So we're gonna take the matter taken care of. And masks must be worn sitting in the chair at all times. Unless you're behind the screen, green screen. Yeah,
I second.
any other comments? So,
I'd just like to say that as of this morning, I don't have yesterday's figure, the positivity rate in Pasco County, the one-day rate was 10, the one-day rate was 10.14. The 7-day rolling average was 8.71. This is still higher than even the 5%, the 5% that is recommended, that is where we're supposed to be. In January in Pasco County, this is all Pasco County, there were 75 deaths. And these deaths all occurred for people 55 and older. There were no deaths for under that in Pasco in January. I do not think this is the proper time to open it. And we know how it spread, and I don't feel it should be open.
You're not on your mic.
I'm not, because I have it off.
yeah, go ahead.
Were you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. Okay, the numbers have been going down since February 1st, the numbers are down. The governor was on the news the other day saying that the emergency rooms and the hospital rooms are a lot less now due to COVID. I believe now, I know I drove by the Elks Club last night and the parking lot was pretty full. So Pasco County it appears has loosened up some things, although I did not go online this morning. But February 1st, it was looking a whole lot better. And more people had gotten the vaccine, even the second vaccine. So, and again, if people don't want to come in and sit for a board meeting, that's their personal choice.
Again,
Okay.
my feeling is, again, we're letting couples come in, sitting in chairs with them. Everybody else, whether they're friends or anything else, if they do not live in the same household, sit next to each other, and we're asking people to have the chairs 6 feet apart and wear a mask. I mean, there's not much more difference in them people standing in the hallway out there, or standing in the hallway in the lobby, or standing outside talking with masks on. If they're 6 feet apart, they should be able, and that's my personal belief, come in here and sit. And with the couples, now let's say 2 people that we know that don't live in the same household comes in and sits, we can tell them, please spread apart 6 feet. You're ruining it for the other people. But if you're couples, they can sit together and everybody else sit 6 feet apart. It's the same thing as out in the hallway now, I see 2 people standing next to each other. They're wearing masks and so I'm sorry, I think 6 feet apart or couples sitting together. Thank you. Sue, you want to speak?
I just want to say, I've been checking the numbers each day. If it got down to 5, I would be the first one to say yes, but it's not at 5. I appreciate the fact that we're going to keep people separated. I don't even think people in the same, I think it should just be, I know, we know some of the people, I do not know all the people. I think that the chairs should be set up at 6 feet apart if we are going to do it. I personally don't think this is the time.
Except I can't see separating couples. You know, maybe at points that you might tell me I couldn't sit with my wife, maybe at a point I may agree with you, but out here, I see no reason why they can't. People that are living under the same roof, 2 people.
How do we know?
How do you, Dale, I mean, so, you know, it's not like we get 1,000 people come into this meeting. So, and
I'd just like to say Pasco County is quite large, and, you know, and you throw numbers are being thrown out about Pasco County. Well, how do we know that 80% of those numbers aren't in Zephyr Hills? I don't go grocery shopping in Zephyr Hills. I don't go to Zephyr Hills to go out to eat or go over there for lunch. So, you know, I just think to throw out numbers for Pasco County, 75 deaths, what is Pasco County? I mean, I have no idea. Is it 80,000 people or whatever? I mean, you know,
It's 500 or something.
like I said, the numbers are going down.
Well, they didn't go down yesterday.
Anybody else got any more comments? Since then, we don't have a yes is to allow residents coming in, couples sitting together, and the other ones sitting 6 feet apart, everybody wearing a mask. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I call for a
Okay.
roll call?
Roll call.
I have Jennifer Smiley,
No.
Beverly Hasty,
Yes.
Ann Ozinger,
Yes.
Susan Munier,
No.
Jean Hare,
Yes.
Larry Ogren,
Yes.
Jerry Beers.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Well, I think that's people there. Just move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, treasurer's report. Income for this month, which is as of December 31st, is $89,908.53. I'm just waiting for the sound one.
Thank you, John, Jean, Mike, and Mark.
If you want to pause for a few minutes to get this.
No.
The expenses were $78,690.22 for a net gain of $11,218.41. Our year-to-date, our net gain is $30,736.80. In our operating accounts, we have $398,070.94. The Driftwood accounts have $42,666.37. The cash reserves totaled $912,663.27. Delinquencies and fines, the total for all accounts is $38,320.03. Of those that are current delinquencies and fines, in other words, it hasn't been over 90 days, it went down almost $3,000 from last month. It's at $6,518.18. Those delinquencies and fines at the attorney are $31,801.85. And that.
Any questions for the treasurer? Thank you. Move on to the manager's report.
Okay, Jerry, starting with the floor in the library, we're trying to determine a product to put down in the library, awaiting a board decision on the product. The tree cleanup outside, they completed what was approved, and later on our agenda, we're going to ask for more time dedicated to that. The sod installation at Oaks Park has been completed, and they did a good job on that. The concrete replacement previously approved has been completed, and I don't have the final number yet, but I think it's in the neighborhood of 33,000 and up to 35,000 was approved. The perimeter wall project has been completed. later on in the agenda, we're gonna talk about the proposals for the pool deck lighting replacement. The contract for the pool decking to be done in March and the pool servicing to be done next January have been executed and deposits have been issued for those contracts. And we also have, later on, we have a proposal for some additional sign replacement. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, John. John, the other question I got is, I just want to say, I asked John to put that barrier back up that was around the thing, because the first day the guy put the sign in, down where he put the sign at, across from Oak Forest, I got 2 phone calls that night that 2 pickup trucks were parked on it and went down fishing. So I asked John to string that whole area off, and I asked him to leave it up there for a couple of weeks so people can, at least for the grass to take hold, and at least for people to get getting in the idea there's no parking there. So Jennifer,
They still park there.
where do they park at?
Between the 2 trees. Yesterday,
Yesterday, there was a white Oldsmobile parked about 30 feet into the park. On this side.
Also, he drove all the way down to the end of it, yeah.
So it's not,
Right, but at least it keeps it off the new side. Yeah, I mean, it's at a point that we can't get it. Yeah, Jamie?
We have any signs there that are no parking allowed?
I don't know if there's any signs out that say no parking. Maybe we can put some up that say keep off the grass, but if there's white barriers, doesn't stop people with the white caution. I mean, we could put some up, I guess, John.
Well, that's some of what's in the proposal.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And there's at least one person who still thinks they can park, across from what's the nature park, one by Dollar Lake. And I've stopped and said, sir, there's no parking there. He goes, well, I want to walk my dog. And, it's ridiculous. People need to realize that we're protecting our own property.
I don't know what we can do down there, because that's a big area, I don't know. Because there's nothing to rope off, I mean.
No.
I guess again, maybe with the signage, putting, Okay, we move, since there's no more, anything from the residents to, John, manager's report? We don't have a mic up for you, so. Go.
Okay, I just wanted to question about the wood shop.
He wasn't on his manager's report.
Oh, well, it's on his manager's report here.
Oh,
It is on there, but I didn't have an update to it there.
Oh,
Okay, so there's no amounts mentioned or anything, wasn't that? So you're just doing it no matter what it's gonna cost? Is that it?
no, there's no update on it,
This
so,
isn't a done deal yet?
no.
Oh, okay.
it's still in process.
Oh, all right, so just wondering because it has been mentioned, there's been no money mentioned as to what this,
We're not, that's why he has no update.
yeah. Okay,
Matter of fact, I didn't pay attention.
all right, thank you.
Anybody else? Gene, you gonna handle the art?
The Art committee had 22 applications. They recommended that 20 of them be approved and 2 denied. One was for unapproved colors and the other one was we didn't have the color of the roof that they wanted to put on.
Well, let's take the first one. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the 22? Sue?
I'll make a motion to approve the 20 arts that were approved by the committee.
Second by Larry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we take each denial by itself.
Two that were, one of them was for an unapproved color and the other one was for, they didn't give the color on the roof that they wanted to put on. They were denied by the committee.
I think it's
Both in the same house?
Oh, because I only have one.
That's all I have.
It's number 6 and number 17, Jerry.
Right.
Oh, okay, number 6.
It's in bold.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I see it now.
Oh, all right. All right, so we're doing number 6. All right. And there was no similar colors to that, right?
No.
Okay.
Other than that, the color that you wanted to use for the body was, of the house, was a trim color.
Oh, okay. So the motion on the floor was made to, somebody wants to make a motion on the floor to deny that?
I make a motion that we deny the ARC submitted at 10541 Calico Loop. I'll second.
Any concerns? None. Anything from the residents? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And the next one is, you need the color for the roof, you said?
They didn't put down a color for the roof, they just put down a neutral color, which didn't give us enough information.
All right. And did somebody try and call them?
They did, but we haven't heard back from them.
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion that we deny the ARC submitted at 10551 Calico Loop. I'll second.
any concerns? Any residents concerned? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it. Move on to the committee report. Everybody's got the copy of the finance. So you want to read anything on that or any input?
The only thing is that we are going to need to add to the RV lot expense for next year, for resurfacing the lot, make it a reserve for that, for the RV lot. And other than that, we did get a credit from Pasco Utilities. They were charging us at the wrong rate, and we got a credit.
The only thing I have a problem is, why is RPM continue issuing multiple checks for refunds? Yes, sir.
What the answer that I got is that CERT, which is their new system, new accounting system, it goes back and it is one that's putting it out in multiple checks. Now, all the checks got mailed in one envelope, but they are working with them to stop it from doing that. It's kind of ridiculous, and that was the only explanation that they gave.
I know, but and you know what, and that's not really a good answer from them. I think we need to get a better answer. I think they need to be held accountable because they're playing with our money. And somehow they should have their own check on checks. I mean, for them to issue out duplicate checks, you
It's
know.
not duplicate. What it is that if somebody was owed $1,000 for some reason,
Yeah,
that either they paid too much or whatever, that $1,000 is broken up into more than one check.
oh, okay,
It's the same, we're not paying, it's
oh,
not,
all right, then that's not the way I see it, we're written here, that's why.
yeah, no, it's not, they're not getting paid twice. It's
Yeah, it just says they're getting paid checks for multiple checks for refunds, it makes it sound like,
Yeah, no,
that's explained better than,
there was one person who wound up getting 5 checks to total
Their amount.
their amount, and one check was only for like $3.
all right,
It's for 80.
right, okay, so, I mean, Ann,
If we could get back to the RV lot, when you say that special reserve needs to be budgeted in, we need to make that doesn't come out of the assessment money.
No,
That comes out of just the RV, exactly. Just so that, residents, know that, I wanted to make that clear.
People who pay it, not us.
all right. The next one, we move on to the fine and suspension. And they say all that said is, they're gonna meet on February 23rd, I guess.
Yes.
So on that one there, the one we talked about sending one, meeting as January 20th. They will be meeting with the residents on February 23rd on that. As of that, I have no other ones, because there's nothing really other committees going on. Let's move on to new business. Well, actually, unfinished business. I just have to see this. It's on the COVID thing. And John, can you give us an update on that?
So for everyone who's not aware, that our last contact with the county, we were asked to supply them with a total number of requested vaccines. So for the last week, we've been registering and putting together that count. So my last communication with the emergency management of Pasco County was yesterday, where I let them know that we have a total number of 970 requested vaccines. And we're waiting for their feedback.
All right, because they still haven't explained to us how they're gonna do it.
Right.
Right, and that's essential to us on knowing how they're gonna do it, like, and are they gonna regulate how they're gonna do it? If there's 900, who's gonna, and they only have 500 to use, or 300, who's gonna pick them? That order, I don't know how they're gonna do
Well,
it.
I think they, from what they've told me, when we provide the number, they take that exact number and request that number of vaccines from the state specifically for us.
Okay,
So they should show up on site at some point with 970 vaccines.
all right. And the other thing we have down there, I think we should, yeah,
How optimistic are we about perhaps setting that up over here?
But we don't have a feeling at all on it. We're just doing, we're doing our best to facilitate it, and the county can't give us
Yeah.
any kind of percentage of when or how, or maybe. We just really don't know. We're just doing what we can.
Because they are setting them up.
well, again, what they do to other people, we can't control.
No,
All
I'm
I
just
say
saying.
is, we were told to contact,
Right.
and my feeling on that is, if you have a chance to get that shot someplace else, take that chance to get that shot someplace else.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and wait thinking that Timberwolves is gonna get it, because it's not guaranteed that Timberwolves is gonna get anything. So if you have a chance, you can get it someplace else, go get it. And don't just sit home and say, well, I think Timberwolves was gonna get it. We have not been confirmed that they are gonna give it to us, or what they're gonna do, or how they're gonna do it. So you just need to make sure, you need to take care of yourself.
Well, the people are going elsewhere. It's on
Yeah.
Facebook that they have been going elsewhere, without a doubt.
Right.
So I was just wondering how optimistic, because they are setting them up in all the other communities. So
We're
it's-
totally aware of what they're doing throughout,
Yeah.
the whole, matter of fact, we're totally aware of what they're doing
Right.
throughout the whole state of Florida. But right now, I only care what they're doing in Timberwolves.
Oh, absolutely, but, if they're sending them out elsewhere, obviously they have a system or something.
Right, but they're not explaining anything to us yet.
Yeah,
And we've been in contact
yeah,
over and over, we're doing what they told us to do.
yeah, and John did talk to them this week, so that's, okay, thanks.
Okay, And we need to make it, Diane,
I just wanted to say something on the COVID vaccine. This morning, Publix for the whole county, Pasco County, was only given 1,970. So they, for the whole county, were only given 1,004 for next week compared to what we're asking for. That was for the whole county, so. So if you can get it somewhere else, I agree with Jerry, I advise people to do that.
Explore all options. And don't
yes,
stop.
so,
Also, I don't know if anyone read it in the papers, but Walmart and Sam's Club will be getting vaccines also. You cannot sign up yet until they know how many they're getting. And then they should be getting some next week is what they assume. So you can keep checking on their website because you will sign up at their website. If you have a Sam's Club account, make sure that you can get online. If you have a Walmart, even if you don't have an account, set up an account at Walmart so that you can just log in without filling in the rest of the information when they do get vaccine.
Well, when you say have an account, what do you mean?
Do you have a Sam's Club card?
I don't.
Then you won't be able to go to Sam's Club.
Oh, is that?
But if you have a Walmart, you go on to walmart.com, set up an account. You don't have to buy anything or whatever. Set up an account so that you have it, so you have your user ID and password. And then when they say Walmart is something, you can log right in to get to where you need to be.
Expedite it.
Thank you.
okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. It's the use of the clubhouse for gathering. Somebody want to handle that? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we had shut down the facility for any gatherings. I believe that was in November. And, I asked that something be put on the agenda that's not here other than under this thing, or this general title. But there are people that are still coming into the clubhouse and gathering. They're eating and drinking. They're not wearing masks. They're not social distancing. They were in here last Friday evening, and I think that the board needs to address that.
Well, yes, so,
I'd like to start by making a motion that we allow until further notice, we allow no food to be brought into the clubhouse.
with the exception of the office staff.
No residents can bring food into the clubhouse.
And,
That pretty much, when we said masks were mandatory, that would pretty much explain that. I mean, if you have to wear a mask, then you shouldn't be in here eating food.
well, you know what, and I can say, I mean, if I was wearing a mask and I happened to have a piece of candy bar in my thing, I would take a bite if I was walking. But by eliminating the word food or eating, except for staff members only, you know, in the clubhouse, that would eliminate so there's no leeway of saying, wow, I just took a bite and put my mask back on, or I took a bite, I was eating. Well, I was eating at a table. I think by putting that down, you know, and specifying, and I don't want to hear the thing about drinking, because if you take a drink, put your mask back up. Because you don't need your mouth open and after you take a drink, so.
That's why I said residents should not bring food into the clubhouse until further notice.
I seconded it. You want to make a motion then?
I did, and I said.
Okay, you second, I didn't see you second. And anybody on the board got any comments? I don't want the board goes first. She's not on the board. Board goes first. Any more from the board? Dale, go ahead.
I just want to say that while you're doing this, you might want to change it or something, because it sounds to me, and it'll sound to other people, I'm sure, like you're saying, social gatherings are all right, just don't bring food in here.
This is just, we're taking steps. We're clarifying everything, one step at a time.
I understand that, but the first step,
There's no food.
There's no
no,
food.
the first step was that you had to wear a mask. Am I correct?
But that's posted on the doors.
Exactly, and we all know, and I know it for a fact, that not everybody in here always wears a mask. I've seen it with my own eyes plenty of times. So the main thing should be that if it's the rule, then people need to wear a mask. And then not having food would be second. That's just my opinion. Go ahead, Amber.
They're using the excuse that they can at a restaurant, but this is not a restaurant.
Right.
And we
So we're
we have to
doing our
reinforce
steps.
that.
It's already posted about the mask. Our next step is to vote and see about the food. And we have other things we're doing.
Okay, I understand that, but if
Yeah.
they're not listening to the mask rule, what makes you think they're gonna listen to the?
Yeah, we also have people that come to the meeting that doesn't listen to what we say when we tell them that they're done talking and stuff like that. So, people just don't listen throughout life. And that's all, and that's part of life. So let's not go there. Let us do our one step. I appreciate you stepping up, mentioning something, but let us continue and you can see what we're gonna do.
Okay,
Thank you.
fair enough.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor, no food? Aye. Opposed? That has it. Jennifer, so you want to handle the next?
All right, the next. I'll make a motion that the only use of the clubhouse shall be for committees that, that the only committees that can meet or groups that can meet in the clubhouse are committees necessary for the function of the board.
Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Anybody else has anything to say? I know, that's what, but we have to get the thing up there. Yeah, Jennifer.
I think what Sue is trying to say is that our committee, the finance committee, the budget committee, the committees of
The board.
the board that are under our auspices, so that we can continue running the business of Timber Oaks.
I understand that the Tops group are meeting in here on Mondays still.
Yeah, they are, but I don't believe they should be.
And there's card players that are in here on playing cards in the card room. Yeah, there are on Mondays and Wednesdays.
I don't,
Well,
if we allow people to come in and play pool,
they can play cards.
then they can play, but we're not sanctioning it. In
Okay,
other words, it's not Tosca saying or Live Oak saying it's a card party. We're not saying it's this. If we see anyone that is, I know one day I was here, there were 4 people playing, I don't know if it was cards or mahjong, but they're using their own cards, they're using their own mahjong sets. They all had masks and some of them had gloves on. So, I mean, I didn't feel that was wrong. And I think that anyone, people come in to use the library. And people come in to use the gym equipment. And I see, and put signs if we want on the door saying no more than so many people but
But that's kind of hard to regulate.
yeah.
yeah, unless you're gonna be here.
I think by still letting them use some of the thing, and they're coming up, we're not sanctioning, we're not giving them, like for ping pong, for example, we're giving them the ping pong tables to use. So we're not doing that,
Well, we let them use the pool tables. We
So then-
let them use the
so-
ping pong table.
I'm all for the ping pong table. But I just have to make sure that everybody's aware of it, but, you know,
I think group meetings are different than they, or group activities are not what we want to happen.
well, okay, be careful now, because when you say your own equipment, let's say I wanted to play music, I come in there with a bunch of my friends and put my own music on. And social distance, I mean, you gotta be careful on how you say it, and you wanna be sure you're fair to everybody. And,
Exactly, and if you're saying that they can use a billiard room, are they supposed to be bringing in their own billiard table? And if we allow 4 people at a billiard player playing billiards, again, why can't 4 people be using a ping pong table?
I think we could.
But we shut that, but we said.
well, we should, but we're here, and that's what I'm saying, things can change, and I don't have a problem letting ping pong people play ping pong, letting the card players come on their own, we're not sanctioned, we're not, it's hard to say we're not, because we're giving them equipment to use, but we're not sanctioning it, we're not advertising it. And if they want to come in and to do it in that case, then that's fine. But, you know, when we just said no social gathering, and is ping pong social gathering, is billiards social gathering, is card playing social gathering? You know, but I think by saying no food, at least we can eliminate some stuff there. And I think by basically saying we're opening up the clubhouse to your own standard, mask must be worn at all times. I think that's what the proper motion, because to sit in and try and single hand and say, Bonchon players can play, or how about, high-low jack people, or whatever they, high five, right? And a foot, or whatever they play, feet, teeth, or whatever,
And
you know, whatever they play, you know. And
So are we saying that, they could come inside and play, pickleball? If they set it up and use their own balls and paddles and stuff, their own equipment?
well, that's what I'm saying, if we're letting them do one, we're doing,
Right, but that, just not what is usually on the Timber Times calendar.
Right.
As a sanctioned time and
right,
location.
yeah, John.
Jerry, I think when we started this conversation months ago, when we initially put in the mask mandate, it was because of Pasco County code enforcement and the declaration that Pasco County had in place. And we were trying, for the clubhouse and for the facilities, that's how it started. We needed to be in compliance with Pasco County. And that requires mask wearing unless, when you're indoors, unless you're eating, drinking, or exercising.
And
So-
ping pong, pickleball is exercise. So shooting pool, billiards and playing cards, they can wear masks. But if they're sitting on the sidelines at ping pong, they're wearing masks. If they're sitting on the sideline for pickleball, they're wearing masks. Unless you're participating, you're not wearing a mask.
Right, so my point is, do we still have that same mentality where we just want to be compliant with Pasco County, or do we want to be more stringent than Pasco County?
I think, my personal feeling is that we should open it back up and stick to the mask thing, but we're not condoning, we're not saying we can have dances, we're not saying that, but if somebody wants to come in and play cards, as long as they're wearing the mask and they can abide by that, if they want to come in and play ping pong and they're wearing the mask, but if they're not playing and they're sitting on the sideline, they have to wear a mask. Pickleball is the same thing. If you're not singing, or I'm not singing, but you know. But
Food, because we just voted no food or drinks.
no candy. I don't know what anybody else is doing. Well, I'd like to make a motion that we open the
There's
place.
a motion on the
Oh,
floor.
there is?
Yes, sir,
Okay, what's that motion?
That was the one that I made,
that I seconded
yeah, but I. will-
Committees.
about 10 minutes ago.
the committees that the only, well, I still think that we should still use that the only committees that should meet
On the committees,
are the committees necessary for TAPSA,
right,
for the functioning of TAPSA.
okay. So anybody want to speak on that part, on the committees? Dan?
I think we need to be specific because every committee person is gonna say that their committee is essential to the operation of Timber Oaks.
Well, any committee that we have is essential to the function. So any committee that we have out there should be allowed to meet.
Well, there's, Live Oaks can meet, but the board can meet, but they're not going to have a social.
Right.
Finance, budget will be starting, planning committee, art committee,
The
Library,
library committee, if they.
orientation,
orientation.
Orientation.
Yep, and the one with, friends and.
Friends
the other ones
helping,
are- And the,
friends helping friends,
yeah, but the other one, with John Cashy.
oh, stormwater.
Yeah, the stormwater one, that one, they all can meet. That's any committee of Tosca is able to meet. They can't function as a full capacity, like,
They can have meetings.
they can have meetings, but so Live Oaks just have to be explained to their meetings that they're having. Because, they have tons of meetings with food and stuff, and we don't want that, but they can do it.
That's their social.
Yeah,
meeting.
Yeah, we're not having, so the Live Oaks board can meet.
so I don't see a problem with all that. Anybody? Any other comments from the residents, all those residents out there? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. So now, I'd like to make a motion to bring the activities like ping pong, pickleball, card players, but they're playing on their own. Back in here, just to keep it in mind that if you're not playing and sitting on the sideline, masks must be worn at all times.
What about line dancing?
Well, I don't see a problem with line dance, because that's actually a form of exercise and for some of the evening. Tap dancing.
I just wanted to mention.
No, but I'm glad you brought that up, because we completely forgot that. You know,
Okay, if we do that, are we do,
can we have a second first before we discuss it?
Yeah.
I'll second.
so,
all right, then what happens when we're bringing other people in? Are we going to bring Zumba back? Are we going?
no.
I agree, no, but where do we draw the line?
We're drawing, right now, everything is Timber Oaks residents. And I think that could be another motion, that anything that we are talking about, you have to be a resident of Timber Oaks to come inside to participate,
Or yes,
or guest,
Or host. Or host,
host.
like the computer club or the Zumba
Right.
girl.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
are we gonna allow this, we
No,
can
no,
open up
no,
the-
Zuma, we're not on that.
but we need that to be specific in the motion
Yeah.
because
Speak.
when they
Right.
contact us to ask
Yeah.
if we could participate, we really need, and we also have, we have quarterliers, that might want, we don't know. So if you could really be specific here.
Well, somebody read off some names, because I don't know, Corliers, if Corliers want to come in and sing, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
That's a really heavy transmitter.
Sing.
And they're not gonna be able to sing with a mask on.
All right, so, and then,
I mean, I'm just looking out for their interests, it's not gonna be comfortable for them at this point.
so things like Kaleidoscope, Corliers, no.
Tap dancing.
Tap dancing, yes, I don't see a problem with tap dancing. To me, that's a form of physical exercising, which were, you know,
Could be said, they're gonna have to wear masks when they dance. Because that's gonna be hard for them to breathe.
well, it's exercising when you're out there. Well, I dance on the dance floor at the Eagles with masks on, because we're required, and everybody wears masks when they dance. And we learned by there is because the Eagle got shut down, because a lot of people wasn't wearing it, and then they got shut down for a couple of days. Now they all learn, they wear masks, if not, place can get shut back down again. So, I mean,
And that's the same thing.
well, let's first work on what can, we're jumping from one to the other. So, no Zumba, no corollaries, no Gyroscope, no,
What about computer?
computers bringing in outside,
So no outside instructor.
right? Yeah, John,
Just to make it more simpler for the minutes, why don't you stick to the motion for the committees and then a separate motion for
we
the.
did the
We did
committees already.
So you did that already, so this is all we're talking about, is that
Yeah.
extracurricular stuff?
Yeah.
So can your motion first be for the ones that you're approving?
And,
Can you, for me,
okay.
approved
I
activities?
approve tap dancing, line dancing, pickleball, ping pong. Because I don't think we have to say billiards already, and the card playing. Is there anything else we can think of?
Which people are already using billiards.
So,
The sewing room,
Well, they've been doing the
Yeah.
sewing room.
and the art and crafts been doing their stuff, so. Yeah, definitely.
We have an indoor exercise class that they do Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there's a lot that,
Who does the indoor exercise?
used to be Diane, but I don't know who she has right now. But there's a group where we have to set up, we have to put the equipment out here,
As of right now, let's just take one step at a time.
well, this way I know if it's
No,
a
I
yes or
know,
no.
because we'll put that on the thing is, we have to bring up, and we have to take one by one, because I don't want to say, open up a whole can of worms, and, because we need to know who's involved, if there's outside people coming in to give instructions, yes, or
What would we be covered if we said no activities that require office setup? In other words, for the exercise right now, you have to set up. You don't have to set up for the tap because Ellie just brings her own boombox or line dancing. Pickleball, do we have to set up?
No.
And ping pong,
No.
same thing. Sewing is the same, library is the same, the art room works the same.
yeah,
But if the exercise class requires setup, so no for the exercise.
right.
Okay.
And no for water aerobics,
Especially if you think about it, the pool's gonna be shut down anyhow.
yeah.
So,
They set up the. No, they don't, we have to put a boombox out for them.
no, they've been bringing their own out at first, but
Well,
still.
if they're bringing their own,
But you know what?
we're not.
But even forget that, because you only got another, if they show up and do it, God bless them. But, because come March, it's gonna be down anyhow, so. Can anybody think of anything else? So, anything that requires a setup, because even,
On the list, Debbie? Is there anything else that we need to address that's on the list?
No,
Because we want to cover it all so that you all have everything you need to know when people call or request it.
yeah, John,
I think we're.
And just to clarify, are we enforcing mask wearing on during like what could be considered active exercise? Or are we allowing that to take place without mask wearing?
You mean like dancing?
Like ping pong, like dancing?
ping pong, if you're playing it's really hard to maneuver around a mask on. But if you're sitting on the sideline, and there's always groups of people sitting on the sideline, masks must be worn.
And they must be 6 feet apart.
If they're wearing it, well, you couldn't get too many people in that room.
That's the option.
Yeah, I mean, if they're sitting at a table with a mask on, that's like card players, you know, it's,
Okay.
so, but,
And it's all at their own risk.
it's at their own risk. Because just like for these committees, if the condos want to use it, they have to do their own setup. We're not setting up for the condos. We're not setting up for the, you know,
But you made a motion last meeting not to allow condo.
right, but now we're letting the committees back in it, so if they want to, we're taking one step.
Yeah.
It's getting more complicated.
Can I give a quick common sense statement?
There was no such thing as common sense.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Why don't you do something like pending board approval? Let them ask you if they can do it and say yes, instead of trying to remember what all you've got there to try to go along with. Give them the option to ask.
Well, we want to get a jump start on some, because if not, you're looking at something that could take a month or month and a half to get on agenda. So by putting stuff down that we can think of, you know, that's a good idea. Let them come in and ask at the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to have to wait for the meeting. I meant you already know what the list is.
Because the board has to approve it. So
But you're already approving.
a bunch of stuff, so they can start that. Anybody else that wants to try and contribute can, you know, submit afterwards, and the next meeting will take that. And
Yeah, I think we need to discuss Bocce because they didn't play at all last year, so I don't think, and they might want to just jump on that and start, you know, getting their leagues together.
bocce season's almost over. It ends in March.
Right, but they might want to now start it up, just, I mean, you know, because they couldn't start up when it was time to. Are we gonna allow them to start up now if they want to start their leagues?
We can let them use the equipment and they do it just like the card players are now. In other words, it's not a league. We're not asking for a league. When if somebody wanted to play bocce, they can go play bocce.
Which they do now.
Which they do now. And let's just leave it at that. We're not enforcing a league, you know, we're not sanctioning a league like we usually do. And can I suggest that we put in here that condo associations, if they want to use for their annual or for a meeting of the condo association, they can meet following the same rules that we do for the meeting. People seated 6 feet apart and masks.
Only couples together.
The same rules that we do for this meeting for a condo meeting, if they want to, and they have to set up their own tables.
Anything else? Ally, go ahead.
I just wanted to address, I know that John was adamant about saying what the county has told us that. So, like, we do know that they say masks are mandatory, period, right?
Yeah.
And social distancing, right? So every community is making up what they decide they want to do. It's not like the county said, you better shut everything down, that's left up to each community, right? So we did open it in the beginning and then we closed it down when.
Well, because we got nailed on certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but,
Well, I think this was productive today.
well, we're not over yet. So save the comment for the end.
Oh, okay, all right,
Thanks.
Okay.
Gene has a question.
Yeah, Gene.
Why can't we set it up where you can do whatever you want, as long as you can do it with masks on and social distancing. Or social distancing.
I think we covered almost everything what you just said. No food, that eliminates happy hour. Yep, because they can have happy hour down below.
Question,
Yeah,
should we be doing anything with the people who decided they were going to have happy hour? And when we're told that they should abandon happy hour,
wait,
Did not.
that's two different, let's stay on this subject right now. We have to vote on this. You're bringing up another subject.
all right,
Any other comments? All in favor of whatever we, that long list of things was. And Debbie, if you got any questions, I'll interpret them for you.
I'm good.
Yep. Say aye.
I,
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, now, Sue?
do we, and I can make a motion that we send I'll make a motion just to get something on the floor to discuss. I make a motion that we send those that we know who were at the happy hour and refused to leave when asked, or refused to put on their masks, and that we send them a letter saying that this needs to stop. I don't think we have enough, that's the end of the motion.
The trouble is, do you know everybody that was there? Yeah.
Okay, now, we just took a vote.
Yeah.
And are we saying that as long as they're wearing masks, they can do that now?
No,
Well, what are we saying then?
okay, can we have a second first?
Yes, second.
I'll second.
all right, what they did at that point, they were told they were not wearing masks.
No, I understand what they did. I'm not arguing what they did. Yeah, they were wrong.
Correct.
But are we saying now they can have their social meeting? Well, that's what he just said.
No,
No.
That's what you did.
I said they can't have, get in there. But in the meeting down below, they used to meet down below.
Right, and they can't have their beer, their drink.
No, they were inside, and that's what we
thought they were outside. right?
No, they were on the board. They were on the board.
They were inside having it. That's what I'm saying, they can still have it
Oh,
outside.
it's down below.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside, I like a bird.
Yeah.
But not inside.
That's pretty inside.
They were on the
Porch,
porch.
that's what they were calling it.
Or patio, you go by the side.
That's why we have a video.
They can still have it, but no food.
They can't have it inside. They can't eat,
Happy hour is outside.
happy hours outside on the lower deck.
With food and drinks, but what if they gave up food and drinks and just want to gather on the porch?
And that's unallowed. Not allowed inside.
A couple years ago, where it rained outside, they were allowed.
But we're not allowing that at this time with COVID. No food in the clubhouse. So because there's no food, they can't do that. Okay? That's a no now. Until further notice.
Well, but the thing is, do we want to,
Send them a letter of recommendation.
My only thing is, if we can send everyone there a letter of recommendation, do you know who them all? Because somebody's gonna say, well, I got a letter, and they didn't get a letter, or they didn't get a letter, you know? And so, unless we can identify everybody.
And was.
And you know everybody that was there?
I didn't go all the way into the room, so I didn't see everybody that was seated at the table.
Because the camera, you can't tell everybody.
My opinion would be, for those that are identifiable on the camera, to send a letter to them and ask them to please tell your friends that would happen to have been there that evening, or some that would have wanted to gather in the future, that is not allowed. And I don't think that, and with a strong statement, that if it happens again, the board will send them to finding and suspension.
And I can give you some of the names of the people that I know.
Yeah, we know some of them, but we just don't know all of them, Jerry.
All right, you want this one, so is that the motion?
The motion, yeah, the motion is to send a letter.
Any of the residents want to speak on that, man?
I think sending a letter is silly, just put a big sign on the porch door. No one's permitted in here.
Yeah, except, you're right, Dale, but the trouble is with the layout, a letter, there's history.
Right.
There's history,
Yeah.
so when it comes the next time that they do it, somebody said, once you give them a warning, guess what? You already had it. So there's history on file that they were reprimanded.
That's a good idea, that just don't let them just do it, not even hear it.
Right,
Yeah,
there's consequences to actions,
right.
is what we're trying to say.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes got it, yeah.
May I ask a question? If I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, the people, when they first asked for
Yeah.
happy hour, it was down on the lower level. And then when it was really raining, they asked to be on the upper level under the,
Really.
I never remember them asking about being inside.
I don't remember, but anyhow, it's stopped now, so,
All right.
okay, anything else? Well, orientation, we open it
I
up.
don't care. Okay, we can do as many,
Yeah.
just limit the people.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next we go, John, you got landscaping?
So previously, we approved 1 day of tree cleanup around the clubhouse facility. That was finished and they did a very nice job on that. If we want to continue and do the other side of the facility and the front of the facility, we're guessing that we would need 2 more days at the same price approved for that. And they're in the middle of doing the plant removal, and because of the quantity of plants that we marked, we're going to surpass the originally approved 2 days, and we're anticipating maybe an additional 2 days on top of that.
All right, so what are you looking for?
2 more days for tree cleanup and 2 more days for
So
plant.
you're looking at a total of roughly $4,600.
28,
I mean, 5,600.
5,600, yeah.
5,600. Anybody else has any more? Any more? Okay, Sue?
I'll make the motion that we approve 2 more days for tree cleanup and 2 days for plant removal. The plant removal will come under the clubhouse, the 40, the last 2 digits of 40. And the tree removal, did we put that under the same category? Debbie, do you remember if we put the tree removal under the same category? Or was it was regular, yeah, and the tree removal goes under the regular,
Some of it was entrance improvements, I think.
what?
Some of it, I think, was entrance improvements.
Some of it was entrance improvement.
I think.
Well, I'm saying the 2 days additional would be entrance. And the other 2 days would be ground maintenance.
So maybe your motion should be up to, we're not guaranteed that we get that much, but just in case.
Okay. So the motion
Is
will
it
be up to
second?
2 days.
Second by Jenny. Any comments? Residents?
Oh,
That's you, Ellie,
there's
resident.
only 2.
I just want to thank the cleanup out there. I think it looks terrific. That's always been a thing I wanted done, those ugly hedges taken down. So I live to see that happen. Thank you.
Ellie, if you can remember when we had the long-range planning
Yeah.
committee and everything, the front entrance was one of the top requests, and we're following through. So people that want to know why we're doing what we're doing,
Right.
this is what the residents requested.
The landscaping was the big issue.
Yes, and this is the impact. This is our,
It looks great.
thank you.
And since there's no other ones, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it. New business mailboxes. John?
So Jerry, we currently offer a service where if you're a homeowner and you need your mailbox repaired or replaced, painted, any type of service done to your mailbox, staff will provide that service at a cost. Right now, I think primarily we're suggesting that we stop that service, and if not secondarily, that the cost that we charge covers our costs, to include materials and labor.
And how much we charging them?
Basically, what we're charging is, we might barely cover materials and.
So that's not what I'm asking, John. What are we charging them?
Well, it depends on it. Some people just need a mailbox, some people need a post in the mailbox, some people are single, some people are a double.
Yeah.
So it's a varying charge, but we really don't factor labor into that charge.
Yeah. Because if I remember right, I know a mailbox and a pole for something like $50.
$50 is a good average charge for that.
It's just that I don't want to take my feeling is to take away, some of these seniors have no way to reach out to and find somebody and get stiffed by having a new mailbox or something put in there. Some of these people are basically landlocked here. But if we could find some way of having somebody that we know that could do that, but I don't know, it's just that some of these people come on, somebody come by and knock on their mailbox and get stuck on a waiting list, or, for somebody to come by and put it up. I mean, we're all gonna hit an age, again, the condo people and stuff don't have that problem. We have the problem of the homeowners, because you guys don't have mailboxes.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, you do?
But we take care of, our condo association has to take care of the mailboxes.
Right, so you have somebody that,
Yeah,
yeah,
we volunteer.
Beth?
What I'm afraid of is if we don't do that service, people will start putting whatever kind of mailbox they want, and it won't look as uniform as it does now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gene, maybe you want to bring that up to the art committee about changing, because they make some nice, they're all solid one-piece things now. I don't, you go into almost any neighborhood, even with HOAs, and the mailboxes aren't all uniform. I don't see where that looks all that bad. I don't particularly care for a brown wooden post with a black mailbox.
So,
What if, I understand the not wanting to take the service away from people, but what if we say at cost, including labor? So that if it's something that is hard to dig and it takes them an extra hour because they have to be careful of utilities or whatever, that we charge, and also that it isn't an instantaneous. In other words, when somebody calls in, we're not gonna send someone over the next day. It has to be put on the schedule so that it doesn't, you don't have, doesn't interfere with maintenance.
I can live with that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, because my light's red. So we need a motion. You want to make motions?
I'll move that we continue mailbox replacement, charging the actual cost of materials and labor, and no guarantee as to how quickly it is done.
Is it second by Ann?
Yes.
I guess the board already spoke on it. Does any residents?
Yes, I'm sorry. Or Susan just added, she just blew me away with what I'm thinking here. I'm trying to understand why all of a sudden, I mean, I've lived here 7 years and I've never even heard mailboxes mentioned at a board meeting, where this became a problem. Do we have that many people that are spending excess money to get their mailboxes fixed? I have neighbors that actually had their mailbox hit by the mail truck and also by a tree cutter. And they told me that we fixed them for $15, not 50, 15.
No, when I first moved here, I think it was 25 or 35, and it's going up, and it goes up.
Now,
Sometimes, like John said, it's the mailbox, sometimes the post has to be replaced. And I actually had mine done, I don't know,
well,
about a year ago, and I thought it was like $50 when I wrote a check out, so. No, mine was 50, right?
Did you have the mailbox done too, or just post?
no, just the post for the
The ruling
mailbox.
on the mailboxes is the post had to be placed and we were charged $25. You were responsible for your mailbox. You had to buy your own mailbox and keep that painted. All the maintenance did was replace.
Yeah, with mailbox.
I just had that done for my neighbor and it was $25 with the pole in. And she had a new mailbox, so she didn't have to get it.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, never provided the mailbox.
Well, I don't know, anyhow, it's $50 is what I paid.
For me as a resident,
And that was
being
a
the
year
first
ago.
time that I'm even hearing of this, and I'm sure there's other people watching that are saying the same thing. We do need to find out, if you're going to keep it, we need to know what the cost is. And also, is that gonna be something added to, if it's never been on, the lady that goes around writing up the,
Linda,
Linda, is she supposed to be looking at mailboxes?
No, we're not, no, let's not blow this thing out of
Well,
proportion.
that's why I'm trying to get it straight right now while
It's
we're
just
going through
saying,
here.
all we're trying to do is get the cost regulated, what it costs Timber Rose to have the job done. And let it be. It's not like, nobody's going out and stretching your mailbox and saying, oh, you've got, one board hanging your, it's not, let's not blow this thing way out of proportion.
Well, that's
It's
it.
a simple
I know
thing.
mailboxes.
Simple thing. We're doing it now, replacing mailboxes, and we want to do whatever it costs us to do it, that's what we want to charge.
So you're saying right now at this meeting, as the president of the board, that if somebody's mailbox is a mess, the lady's not gonna, we're not gonna write up a line people who are not else.
Your mailbox is supposed to be painted anyhow. So if you're not living by what you're supposed to do, yes, you're gonna be written up.
No, they're around
This
with
is
a black mailbox.
when a
don't take-
mailbox gets knocked down. That's all it is. Mailbox gets knocked down or deteriorates, then they used to call the office and they fix it.
Right.
It's not out there to replace it because it's dirty, that's not the thing. Again, that's why sometimes you hate to bring things up because it gets blown way out of proportion. It's simple. And we just need to get the right price. That's all we're saying. If you need it done, call up and the office will tell you.
Okay, my main point was making sure that it's not gonna be a new problem to watch out
It's
for
not,
trying to make.
you got a problem, if you can't maintain your mailbox, you got a problem. If you don't paint it and keep it up it is, then you got a problem. But if you keep your mailbox painted like it's supposed to be, the pole and stuff, then you don't have a problem.
Well, that's like saying as long as the wood is brown and the mailbox is black, that's the only thing we have to worry about.
You basically got it.
Okay, good, thank you.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a good perk for the residents here to do that, a mailbox, a lot of senior citizens don't have the, know how to call somebody to do it. So I would hope you wouldn't take away that. And again, it's the pole that we paid the $25 for. I just did it for my neighbor, and you buy your own mailbox and you keep it painted. But we should really consider doing something else, because I hate those mailboxes.
Yeah, everybody does.
They do, they're ugly, they're.
Yeah, Jen.
Yeah.
what we're trying to do is what, in the past, we've charged $25, whatever. We have analyzed, the manager and maintenance staff have told us the cost of doing this for the residents, which they don't mind doing, the cost has gone up a lot. And we're losing, you know, they want to just be fair and equitable to everyone. If you get it replaced, you should pay what is due, just as if I called a handyman or whoever, if I did it myself and went out and bought the parts.
Well, I just.
So it's just keeping up with the economy, basically.
Like I say, the neighbor did it, Mike came and did it, did a nice job, I brought out a check for $25 and that was it. But the mailbox was new, so I didn't have to replace it.
Well, that's one thing we have
But
to find
25
out,
doesn't cover it.
because why you pay 25,
But it
I
is a
pay
nice
50.
perk for the residents, it really is.
You know, again, if you see what the problem is, you pay 25, I pay 50. So that's why we need to get a set price.
Yeah.
Because why are you paying 25 and I'm paying 50?
The only reason.
Because I had mine done last year.
Yeah, because I put it in the orientation book, and that was a perk for the residents to pay for the pole and buy their own box. So that is in the documents.
Okay, let's just,
Yeah, but
okay,
yeah.
this is, the motion has been seconded. And so, could somebody, we take a vote on this mailbox? What was the motion again? To cover the cost of the mailbox. All in favor, say aye. John, can you explain the next thing, the median amount?
So the median islands is previous conversations we've had about, do we want to maintain median islands on Ponderosa, or do we want to suggest to the county that some of them be removed? And if we keep, we would enter into a maintenance agreement, and we have the packet of information that Jennifer previously provided with.
And my question on that is, if we tell them that we'll take over, because what you said is they'll remove ones that we don't want to take care of, right?
That's what they're, there's no guarantee that any are going to be removed, but that's the step that we're at now.
And
They're
that's,
telling us that.
and that's doing half the job. And
I think if we're gonna maintain the islands, the county, we should see if the county will sell us those islands for $1. Because again, we cannot spend our money on property that does not belong to us.
John or Sue,
The only problem, if that becomes our property, or if we enter into a maintenance agreement with the county, is the liability. If somebody hits a tree on one of those islands, and then sues us saying that tree shouldn't have been there, or, you know, something like that, if we're maintaining it, the county will come back and say, it might be our tree, but you were supposed to maintain it.
yep,
We're not voting right now to enter into a maintenance agreement. We're voting to take that next step to either agree or disagree with the county that we want to proceed in that direction. And just, there's just another train of thought on this subject. Right, it's not our property, we shouldn't have to maintain it, we shouldn't have to expend funds. But every one of you, the last 6 to 10 feet of your driveway is not your property either. The last 6 to 10 feet of your grass around the perimeter of your property is not yours either, but you're still power washing that sidewalk and mowing that grass, and your sprinklers are working that area. So there is some responsibility there, and there is some responsibility for these islands as well.
yeah.
We had quite a lengthy discussion on this the first time that this was brought up. And we said because of liability reasons, we did not want to maintain them. I thought we had already voted on that.
Well, again, it's just brought up. I don't think we should enter into agreement. That's my feeling on it. So, you want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we do not enter into an agreement with Pasco County on the maintenance of the island.
Second by Larry. Anybody else got any more? Yeah, John?
So I guess it's just a little bit more complicated than that. There's a couple of things we can do. One is nothing. We don't have to respond back to the county to give them an answer. If we do respond back to them and say we have no interest in entering into a maintenance agreement, their next statement's gonna be, well, do you want us to remove all of the islands?
That's fine.
That's fine. I don't care. It doesn't make a thing. Dale, got something to say?
I just wanna, I don't know if this is on, I just wanna add, like Susan said, she's 100% right about somebody hitting it. Not only that, but a lot of them are full of trees that are, the trees are getting older and dead, and there's branches ready to fall down on people's cars and stuff like that. I don't think that the county would benefit by taking them all out. That sounds like a heck of a lot of money just to take the trees out of those islands, flatten them down, then have to pave them. I think that if you haven't done it already, you should go to the county, ask them to come out and look at the islands, and maybe they'll say to themselves, hey, we're trying to improve Pasco County. This is part of Pasco County. Maybe they'll put the nice borders around like some of them have. I would ask them first in
Well,
that
just a
respect.
quick update, the county's been out here and looked at it.
And what did they say?
And well, they've been cutting the trees and stuff around it. But I think it's just their way of getting rid of, because there's certain ones that need to be torn out of there by the county. You know, that's on Ponderosa.
Yeah, well, they
And
should.
what's scary
they should
is,
be
and I'm
worried
not
about
saying
that.
because you're here, is that tree by your house on that hill, with that's scary.
That needs a new wall put up or
Yeah.
something. I don't know who's responsible for that.
Yeah.
The county.
The county, so,
Okay, I will. Oh, Jack,
Here you go.
okay, let's move on to the next, we need to take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, ayes got it. And this wall painting, John?
I guess the only thing we have to do with that is the one home on Tapestry that has not communicated with us and has not painted their wall.
Yeah.
There's two on Tapestry that have not painted their wall.
But one has communicated with us and told us when it's going to be painted. The other has not.
Okay, well, why did one person get a special favor as to when they were gonna paint, and the rest of us had to have it painted by the time the contractor had finished theirs?
No special favor. They just asked when it had to be done, and we said by the end of February. That's what- If anybody asked us verbally over the phone or in person, we told them by the end of February.
And I think that should have gone out in the letter to all the homeowners that they knew they had till the end of February.
Okay, since we got no more on that subject, residents, we got Sue?
We have, I make a motion that we paint the wall on the house that has not, that we paint the wall of the one house on Tapestry that has not communicated with us, and we add that to their assessment as to be paid. We put the price of what we pay onto their bill.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Bev, second. Any more conversation? And
Yeah, again, we were told we can't spend money on other people's property, so how do we get around this? I know our documents say that, but then we're contradicting ourselves when we say other issues can't be, we can't spend our money on it. And I suggest if we're gonna paint that wall and spend our money, that you also have those palm fronds that have been sitting there for close to a year, rotting away between the sidewalk and the road on that same property, and add that to their assessment.
so,
Our bylaws allow us to do something when a homeowner has not for an extended period. We can, and the reason we can is because we are charging them for it. We are not paying for it, we are charging them. And this house, I believe, is in foreclosure or Or what?
I haven't seen any proof to that. When you go on, the owner's name is still on the deed. It's not given up, it's not the bank.
Yeah, but it is, I think the bank hasn't taken it over yet, which a lot of banks do. But when that house sells, that will be added on to it.
Well, then if we're gonna have the painting done, do we also have those palm fronds removed? And there's more dead ones that are ready to fall off the tree too, that'll just keep piling up there.
Let's do the wall painting one thing, one at a time.
Well,
Yeah, Dale.
First of all, thank you all for voting to let us in today because I just really missed this. I'm so confused right now because didn't you say the deadline was the end of February?
Yeah.
Okay, so why are we even worried about anything? They still have 2 or 3 more weeks to paint the wall. Why are you already just assuming, and you're right, you're 100% right, I agree with you. But you're talking about something that hasn't even happened yet. And then if they don't, you send them a notice, 14 days to paint the wall. If not, you get fined $50 a day, up to $5,000. Why would you go and paint the wall? Are you gonna put a new roof on somebody's house and just tack it onto their, like you just said, you can do that, right? Am I wrong?
Thank you, Dale. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 1 no.
and I abstain.
Ayes have it. Let's move on. Electrical
I'm sorry.
proposals.
Who voted no?
Bev. She mumbled.
No.
It's you, John.
So Jerry, we talked to numerous electricians to supply us with proposals to replace the deck lighting on the pool area where the pavers are being replaced. And we have one electrician that has come in at a very reasonable price, much lower than all of the other contractors. They're proposing to replace the 7 post lights for a total amount of $7,048.76. Now, it's a simple proposal. It probably doesn't allow for potential permits and sales tax, but that's for the labor and the material. In addition to that, we would also have to contract with the certification company that was used previously to have the light certified for after dark use.
Anyone make a motion on that? So,
I'll move that we contract with Floyd Lowry Electric Incorporated to replace the 7 post lights around the pool at a material and labor cost of $7,048.76 to be charged to the pool reserve for poles and lights, which I don't know the number off the top of my head.
I'll second.
a second by Bev. And I would like to see an amendment put on it. Also, the additional costs of the permits and stuff, whatever that, because he said this is only for the material
Well,
only.
I said for material and labor
So the permits are coming.
would be separate.
Yeah.
I have a question. Have we researched on our own the cost of the poles and lights?
Yeah.
And do we have a figure on that? Because we have a proposal for nearly 4,000 less. It's just for the, for labor and stuff. And I'm wondering if we can get the poles and the lights cheaper than $4,000.
So,
When I was looking online for lights similar to the ones that one of the contractors had, that, you know, to find these lights is not easy, but they are how many looms you need and all this. When I went online, we were talking $600 a light head, and, the poles were anywhere from 200 to 400. That's $1,000 each. Which is, so, I mean, that would be 14, yeah. Now, I did not look up Dadmar, you know, the light head, but yeah, if you look at the other two that we have, one from our electric supplier, which we got by email the other day, and look at Mr. Electric. And it was very expensive. They both were in the 15, and the one we got yesterday would have been 15 plus the 3,000. So it would have been 18,000.
Anybody else? John?
Just two things to add. Can the motion include the amount for the certification company as well? And everyone should be aware that we currently have is basically a 6-foot lantern style fixture. That's not what we're going to get in replacement. We're going to get more of a taller, more of a street light type look that's downlight.
All right. Dale?
I'm just curious, the residents, of course, haven't had a chance to give too much insight in anything that you've been doing for a while. Is this the reason we have to have new lights because of the work that's being done on the pool deck? Or who and why did we just decide we need all new lighting?
Most of the poles that you go after, you can shake and do anything you want. As far as I know, as long as I've been here, them poles have been here, and they've been loose to me, they're dangerous. I mean, and to me, if we want to do it right, if you're replacing this, replace that. That's, to me, as you said, that's common sense, so I'll make it common sense. It needs to be replaced, it's as simple as that.
That's all I wanted to know.
And Jen?
The other thing is, when those didn't pass, we had to put little extra lights on it, and that's really not the best solution to the lighting situation for.
Is the new one's gonna be like energy efficient LED or?
They are
LED. The same old
LEDs.
They are LED.
Okay, good.
And they should be brighter.
I'd like to alter the motion to include that it was, how much was the first one?
I believe it's $950 for the first visit and $475 for any additional visits.
Yeah, that it's an additional $1,500 for life certification so that we can have night swimming. And that will come out of professional fees. Because it is a specific engineer who has to come out and measure the
I'll second.
put candles.
We have a budget called professional fees, I'm just.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. John, you get the fast sign.
So we have a sign proposal, Jerry, to replace, basically it's to replace a lot of the existing signs that where there are duplicate signs in single locations, and the majority of these signs are faded and maybe could be worded better, et cetera. And like we were discussing earlier in Oaks Park and at Nature Park, we're going to add no parking on those signs. So let me pull my proposal out, Jerry, and I'll give you a little more detail. So the proposal for all of these signs is $3,282.99. 1,815 of those dollars is to add deed restricted and no soliciting to all of the village signs. So now there's been some conversation that maybe we want to do away with those, and maybe we could do away with that on this part of the proposal.
Is there, yeah.
Yeah, what we said we didn't want is the senior village or family village signs. They weren't deed restricted or no soliciting signs. Those, I believe, we still wanted.
And like I said, I mean, deed restriction to me is one thing, but these are county roads, so you can't stop somebody except for the condos can stop people from driving in on their roads, because they own their roads. But ours, as far as I know, our roads are county roads. So,
What part of that is driving?
huh?
Excuse me,
Is that?
I think I had the floor originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, the no soliciting signs has nothing to do with people driving in. They just see it, they know they're not supposed to knock door to door. Also, I had a question. Are these signs gonna be white background with black lettering?
So the signs will be the same color as the other signs that we had in the terracotta and the silver plate colors.
Okay, I kind of have an objection to that. People are saying that they're hard to read, and not only that, in 5 years or 7 years, when they repaint the wall, they repaint the clubhouse, they're gonna be outdated, and they're gonna have to wanna replace the signs again to match the new colors. I feel, my opinion is if we stick to white with black lettering, 7 years from now, they would still go to whatever color that people want to paint.
So,
I personally think if we put the deed restricted, which is on here too, on the monuments on way in, why do we need deed restricted in each of the villages? That would eliminate half of that 1,800. And, the no soliciting, I don't know how.
I mean, you can't stop somebody from going in there. I think we contacted the sheriff once, just going back, if I remember right? And he says the individual has to put that on their own property, because you can't stop somebody from coming out and up in there, even though the sign says it in the thing. That's a county road. They can drive up, knock at the door, and it's up to you, it's, I mean, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, just like they said, the deed restriction, you come in, there's no way you can not enter this development without seeing that word deed restriction.
It's not there now.
No, I'm talking, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not on monuments right now.
That's how much I pay attention.
Okay, if I may, coming off of Little Road, there's no monument, there's a wall. And it's hard to even see the two roads, a smaller sign that would say no, whatever deed restricted. People don't pay attention there. I think it's a good idea to have it on the monuments.
Yeah, John.
So this proposal allows for a larger deed restricted sign at each one of the entrances. I think the only one that's out there now is one currently at the Little Road entrance, but we were going to replace that with signs in the. So I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I don't know that we need deed restricted on the villages. And if we want to do away with the no soliciting on the villages, it's probably a good idea, but if we still want that, we can add that under the deed restricted at the entrance. And and it's not necessary on the village.
On every one of them.
Yeah, so,
I think that adding no soliciting on the monument as well as deed restricted would make more sense than putting these extra hanging aluminum signs on the wooden village signs. It just seems silly.
Are we gonna replace the ones that are already currently hanging then on some of them?
They'll be removed.
any other board member? Dale, can we speak?
Yeah, out of curiosity, when we have the deed restriction sign up, What does that mean to anybody other than the people that live here that know or that are going to buy into here? What is that telling somebody that just happens to see that on the?
And
It's telling them that if somebody doesn't want to move into a community that has an HOA, it's telling them that they don't.
Right, in other words, it basically is to let people know that are moving in, just like when they have to put the real estate sign up, it has to say deed restricted community. So they're gonna find that out one way or another. If they're just coming in, especially through 52 and around with the county road that everybody uses, what need is it of us to let them know it's deed restricted?
because if you're driving down the street and you want to buy a house in a wonderful community, and you're looking for a place to buy a house, you just say, oh, look, Tim Rose, deed restriction.
Right,
Let me come over here and look at it to buy it here.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, letting people know on the main entrance, like Susan said on the big sign. But once you get in here, not each village doesn't need to say deed restriction.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, I'm giving you my opinion.
I appreciate you.
And with the, yes, and with the no soliciting, I think that's silly because they all solicit anyway, and if you don't want to answer the door, you don't answer the door. I would rather see people knocking on the door like Avon and Amway and all them did years ago than standing up on 19 with a sign looking for free money. These people are looking for work, unless you're talking about the witnesses.
Ms. Ellie?
Quick question, are we saying this price is, you're replacing all the signs to look like those metal signs? You're not leaving up any of the wooden signs?
No, this is not wooden signs.
Yes.
So you're replacing them with the metal ones you just got?
No, they're talking about the little hand signs.
So what's there is gonna stay there right now, and now you're replacing or adding to the sign?
John, you want to explain that?
Right, so we're talking about two things, Ellie. One, we're talking about all the signs through all the common areas. Some of them say no trespassing, some of them say no fishing.
Okay.
Some of them say no parking. We're replacing all of Don't Feed the Wildlife. We're replacing all of those signs. Like a sign on a tennis gate with the tennis rules, we're replacing those kinds of signs. The second thing that we're talking about are all the hanging signs from the village signs, doing away with those and just making sure we have deed restricted and potentially no soliciting at the entrances only,
Oh, all right,
at the main entrance.
okay, so that was separate from the wooden signs, that's all done, that, and this is the other. Okay.
Thank you, Ellie.
Okay.
Any other comment? Yes, sir.
John, on page 2 of 4, for the tennis rules, it says reservations may be made at the office, and maybe is one word there, it should be 2.
Yeah, I haven't, we haven't finalized the,
Okay, I just didn't.
Yeah.
I just was reading it and I'm going, uh-oh. Problem.
All right, since there's no other comment, all in favor, say aye.
We don't have a,
Susan?
I don't think we had one on this. I'll make a motion that we go with fast signs for those things on page 1 of 4, page 2 of 4, page 3 of 4, and on page 4 of 4, we do not do number 11, but instead add no soliciting to number 10. And the price should be less than, let's see, that's 1,800 off of that, more.
1467.55.
Well, it would be about 1,500 because it's gonna be more to put the second. Let's make.
Can somebody go tell me which shop to stop?
that's probably, 3 seasons. Can you tell from there, Jerry, if it's the wood shop?
All I know is,
It just did that, that's what it sounds like.
It sounds like the wood shop.
And over here, it sounds like it's out there.
all I know is it's echoing right in the back of me.
Sue, are you gonna add color to your, motion?
Well, no, I think I would leave it in the silver and terracotta.
Oh, they stopped. But just in case, tell them what.
Especially for the ones that are going on monuments.
Yeah. But we're not putting the little ones on.
Exactly. She's like,
I didn't bring that up, Jennifer did.
No. Which signs are gonna make a difference if it's black and white? Employee parking isn't gonna make, tennis rules isn't gonna make a difference.
It will make a difference 5 or 7 years from now when the colors are changed. And then they're gonna want to come in for, another $7,000 or whatever to replace signs.
I can understand it if we were putting the dingle dangle signs underneath, because those will go on a sign that would be, the color would be changed. But for these that are going on by the parks, what difference does it make? And clubhouse pickup and drop off, what difference does it make?
Okay, well, what difference does it make that they're black and white now? They're much easier to read. I mean, I just don't see, my opinion is I do not see the object of having those signs, when you say it doesn't make a difference, then why is it a difference to have them colored in gray and terracotta?
right now,
Jennifer?
some of them right now are white and green, some are white and red. I mean, we have a ballpark of different colored signs all throughout the community right now. I think what they're trying to do is some continuity.
So black and white would handle that. And if the comment was, what difference does it make what color, then what difference does it make if a handicap color, I think internationally are blue, blue and white. I don't even know if we could change that to, our current clubhouse colors. I just.
To me, if we're all saying it doesn't make a difference, and if black and white is a standard color, why not go with the standard color? To me, that's as far as I can see. If there's really no reason for the color in black and white standard, and it's saying we could save some people $700, 7 years from now, we save $710. Because it probably went out $10 more. So do we need to amend that, or do you guys still want to argue back or debate back and forth over the color? We
Color
just-
isn't even on the proposal, but we would have to vote on what we wanted for that. Let's standard.
Let's vote on the signs and then we can discuss color.
Well, the color could be added to the motion.
So, who made the motion?
I did.
So do you want to amend your motion?
No, we'll do the color after, just this is for the signs.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have the okay, everybody. Now, somebody want to, Sue?
I would say if that, for the signs, I'll make a motion that the signs that go on the monument should be in our colors. All other signs could be white with black lettering unless there needs to be something special on it. In other words, something that, well, there's no handicap sign. That white with black.
And
I'll second.
any comments on that? And nothing from the residents? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed, ayes got it. John, do you want to talk to your door proposal, because I don't see the paper here.
Yeah, I will, Jerry, can you just repeat what you said, I'm taking notes.
The-
It'll be the terracotta and silver plate.
For the ones that go on the monument.
Existing color, if it's just a freestanding sign, it's gonna be black and white.
Yep.
Jerry, I don't have a written proposal yet for the door. I do have a verbal, but I don't have a written. We're still waiting.
All right. But they, well, it's, yeah.
Yeah, could I ask, is this an overhead door or like a neon door or what?
The door at the, well, actually, there's actually two of them, but I saw one that goes into where the oak, the live oak thing is. It's all cated, there's nothing down the bottom. It's a very dangerous door.
Yeah.
And it is very, very dangerous. And the other one is over where the end of the garage of the maintenance, and that should be replaced at the same time, I think. Because that's dangerous.
There's also a third one in the back. There's two doubles on each end,
Yeah.
and there's a single in the back.
And both of them, you literally can go, you know, they're dangerous.
Are we gonna replace these with hurricane doors? Which I think we probably should look into.
Yeah, we're gonna propose them for what meets code, metal entry.
All right, so John, you're gonna get back to us the next meeting on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, are you gonna replace the ones that, open, they have the hinges on the outside also? We talked about.
Right, so the proposal that we're getting, that we met with the contractor on is to replace the double metal door on the outside of the live oaks, the single metal door that comes into the backside of live oaks, and then there's a double metal entry door on the side of the maintenance garage. We're getting a proposal for all three of those.
Okay, I know we talked about the hinges were on the outside, are we gonna turn those, have them on the inside?
Yeah, I haven't seen the proposal yet, but I did talk to the contractor about that while he was on site.
Excuse me, I'm just getting some water. Next, we move on to correspondence. We've got quite a bit of correspondence here. One, John, you got one that was sent to you and you gave us a copy about the picnic table. Have you been able to look at the picnic table?
It has been vandalized. It looks like somebody sat there with a pocket knife and just carved little notches all the way around on the benches and on the top end of the table. It's disturbing. I mean, there's no graffiti, it's just little notches all over the table. It doesn't, you can still use the table, there's no danger if you use the table. It's just disturbing that from the table and somebody vandalized.
All right, and there's nothing more except people are gonna be people. The next one is about the RV lot I have. And somebody wants about gravel, more gravel put in the,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we proposed to add that to the new budget.
okay.
But for now, I think they're gonna try and spread it more evenly. They're going to try and spread what is there more evenly over the whole lot.
We've kind of done what we can do.
Next thing I have here is, well, 8015 Los Alamo. Well, did you guys get that correspondence? Sent to you, John?
Yes. So that homeowner had went to fining for more than one violation. I think what they're asking is if they've corrected a couple of the violations for which we would stop the fining when the violations were corrected. The remaining violation is the condition of their grass, which they've done what they can, and they're, maybe the timing allows us to stop the fining on the grass until.
Is this the one we talked about last meeting?
No.
Oh, this is another one?
So at this time, I don't have the letter memorized, but I think they're in the right. I think we did stop the fining when the other issues were corrected, and we should probably be able to allow a little more time.
All right, so do we need to make a motion on that?
maybe the pause, the finding on the grass, maybe correction.
Right, but we should have it that if they don't get it completed, how much,
That's why.
yeah, I mean, like, it's not just to say and then all of a sudden they stop. That it's not completed and then the findings will be retroactive back. I think that would be a fair motion. So,
What would be a fair amount of time? It's replacing the sod or,
Whatever corrections they were meeting with different contractors to try to determine what was the best result. I don't know,
Rating it.
maybe March 15th, for corrections to be made by March 15th.
or even the end of March,
I'd say the end of March.
the end of March,
Rating is sprinklers inside.
yeah. Because they're in the process of their work.
the new line as soon as.
So would somebody like to make a motion? Yeah, so
I'll make a motion that we allow, yeah,
80-15, 80-15 Los.
80-15 Los Alamos, up until March 31st to complete the lawn work that they were doing without fine.
Up till
March 31st,
or something.
without fine. If it's not completed by then, the fine will be retroactive.
Okay. Is there a second? It's a second by Larry. Yeah, John?
I'm just thinking maybe it's better to word that we'll continue to place those fines on their account, but if it's completed by March 31st, those fines will be waived.
Okay,
Legally, that might be more appropriate.
yeah. We will, okay, I move that for 80-15 Los Alamos, we will continue to put fines on the account if the lawn work is completed by March 31st, we will waive those fines.
And it's second by the, any other board member got anything to say? Yeah, Dale.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this right. Somebody's being fined right now because of their grass? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
There's a whole bunch of different fines going on now.
I understand that, but one of them is for their grass? Does anybody realize we haven't had rain in forever? It's been winter, half of the lawns in here look like crap. And we have the government trying to send people money because, I'm sorry, just for the ones that didn't want the meeting opened, that said that was, they were worrying about the residents. But yet you're fining somebody when the government is sending out checks to people because everybody is in such a mess right now with this virus. Couldn't Timber Oaks at least put some of that stuff on hold, for heaven's sakes?
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now
We have one other correspondence via email about the paint color on a neighbor's house.
oh, but we still got some here. Can we do this? I have another one that was sent to John, January 28th. Well, somebody, oh, that's the same one. I got two of those. Maybe I got your copy, John. Yeah, I remember that fact, I got another, John. I got two copies.
You're just lucky.
I know, twice. Oh, all right, and there was one that we had somebody, it was an email sent to all the board members regarding the wall painting, that it didn't look like it was exactly the same color, but a couple people are taking drives by, there's not that much difference in it, and when the sun gets on and fades out already. So, the answer to that is, the board is well aware of it, and no action will be taken. And, no, we gotta make Look at this. We got comments here.
Oh,
Jen, any comments? Sue?
Thank you too for coming, and thanks for those who were listening, and I hope the sound was okay today. And, we'll keep plugging in, we'll let you know how things are going with the COVID vaccine.
Gene?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming in, and please be safe.
Beth?
Thank you for your input today, the residents that are here. And thank you all for listening and stay safe.
And
Thank you for attending, those that did. Hopefully next meeting, we'll see even more faces. And stay safe. And again, if you can get your vaccine in another location, please, look into it.
Claire?
yeah, I just want everybody just to be very conscious of what you're doing and stay safe.
And as usual, I get to run my mouth, so. Again, I want to thank everybody out there, whatever, what's going on. And again, I keep repeating myself, there's not a board member up here that isn't looking at it and trying to do their own research and do their own thing. Everybody, even though we have totally different agreements with everybody, and we don't have to like each other, but we work and we're working for the residents. And we may not all agree together, but it's not, some people believe their way, I believe my way. Of course, my way is always right, but I have a few people that disagree with that, But as I said, we're here to help and support Timber Oaks. And keep in mind, there's 3 open seats. So if you want to come up here and sit here and look cute, run for the board and bring your input in. But if you've got an agenda, a personal item to say, I want this, then you're the wrong person to run for this board. You've got to come out here and put your heart and soul into it. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of hours and stuff put into this. But just because you think, one person is not going to change this board. It takes the board working together and giving and bending. And that's just what you got to do. But please, if you're out there and you've got knowledge, well, you don't even have that knowledge, look at me. But anyhow, I show up and I do my things and I talk. I may argue with every one of the board members. Well, Gene, I like him, But besides that, I'm just saying, keep in mind, if you're running for the board, you got to work together. Not to come up here and cause fights and arguments back and forth. The idea is work together, work it out. We do some talking through some emails back and forth among ourselves. Nothing's voted on that there, and we have a lot of disagreements. But even today, Ann's gonna give me a ride home. So, and I don't like her. But anyhow, thank you guys for putting up with us. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
We have.
Well, if an open forum is after adjournment. Yeah.
I'll second.
In second, and all in favor? Aye. Now it's time for open forum.
Okay, again, I want to thank you for saying yes. I really thought after I came here this morning and caused a little fuss that you would definitely, just despite me, say no. And I also want to go with what you just said, Jerry. Having the right people on the board is a very good thing. I'm going to say something that's probably going to shock everybody because I want to tell people, do not run for the board if you're going to bitch and complain of how much time it takes. If you're going to sit up there and make comments every time a resident gets up to speak because you're sick of looking at our face or listening to us, you want to get to lunch or you want to get to the golf course or wherever you want to get to. Because for the 7 years that I've been coming to meetings, there's always a few up on the board that just want to get these meetings over with and they don't want to hear from us. It's been very nice with all of you having us not here. I don't care what you say, not having us here to voice our opinions and our 2 cents and make the meeting last a long time must have been very nice for you. When people get on the board and they can't wait to get off, like I'm sure a few of you can, you don't want them kind of people to run.
Well, Dale, I appreciate that kind of comment, but you don't know the history about why you want to get off now.
Oh, well,
You know, everybody that wants to get off, they have their reasons. They put their time and energy into this thing. I usually don't make comments, but when you're speaking that way, I make this kind of comment. I take offense that you think that I'm getting tired and I don't want to hear you. I take personally offense to that. I put up with a lot of things through my life, you know, and come time in my life, I want to start enjoying my life. And you think I enjoy sitting up here and getting beat up on Facebook or any place else because people don't like me? I could give a shit less. That's how I feel. And you want to hear my mouth? Come around April. I'll give you my mouth because I'm off the board.
I understand that and I can't wait. But as far as people saying anything to you about you on Facebook, I have no idea where that's coming from because I don't think on my site or Ellie's site I've seen anybody badmouth you on Facebook. I mean, Ann is a good example. Ann cannot stand it when people say the board this and the board that. But no matter what the circumstances, people don't say individual names. You don't know who I was referring to when I just made that statement. If you felt guilty and you wanted to put yourself in as one of them, then I can't help that.
Well, I said it because I made a statement and I've been saying it. I can't wait to get off the board.
Yes.
Not because I'm tired of these people. I'm just tired. And I want to enjoy life. I retired, and that's what I want to do.
And if you do, no, I'm not going to say too much because we're going to cause a problem.
I get off.
Well, I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to cause a problem. I could say each one of your names individually and say what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to do that. Jennifer?
Let me just say this. Even during the time that the meetings have been closed, we have, each one of us, been accessible. You could have called us, you could have emailed us with any and all concerns. We've always been approachable. Never have we ever said, Dale, Ellie, anybody else, we don't have time to listen to you. I've always listened. Sue's listened, Dan's listened, Jerry listens. Everyone up here is here to listen to the residents, even if they don't come in here. My phone number is in the Timber Times. Call me anytime.
And that would be for some.
When you guys say you're being cut out and your voice isn't being heard, I'm going to argue with you about that because you haven't approached us to voice your concerns about anything.
Because for me to approach you and say, I don't like the color of the tile you're putting down around the pool, I think all the residents should get to see it. Or if I said to you, there's a lot of people on Facebook that don't want the shrubs taken out. Or maybe there's people that are saying, gee, I would have liked to take some of them and put them in my yard.
But I put it out there that you could.
But you know what, Dale?
But without the meetings open, we could not.
Facebook. They should contact us. Not you, not Ally, don't take offensive, but they go to you guys, and you say you represent these people. To me, you represent yourself. I don't care if 100 people told you, because it means nothing to me. I want to hear from the people out there. If they got nerve to talk to you, then they should have nerve to talk to me.
Well, that's why I always had my site open to board members. I want the board members to hear what the residents are saying.
We're represented. We were voted to represent. If they want to go through you, then it means nothing to me. And
I don't know if you hear me with the mask. I just want to make a comment that I've had many residents contact me a lot in the last 2 months because they've wanted the meetings open. I've had at least 3 calls wanting to know about the vaccine. You know, when I got on this board, my only agenda wasn't personal. It was that the rules were for everybody. And I was tired of seeing special favors the 5 years I sat there at meetings. And it's exactly. A lot of us ran just because of that. But I have been, residents have communicated with me and I've listened to what their concerns were. But you can't sit here and say that just because our phone numbers are in the Timber Times and they could have called us at any time, that's true. But that wasn't during a meeting. It wasn't during a meeting where they should have been allowed
The
to voice
meeting
their
is,
opinions.
the meeting to me is the time and place. I don't bother any of you at home. If I was on the board, the last thing you'd ever hear me say is, I can't wait to get off this board. I can't even go out to dinner without people bothering me.
Dale, may I say something?
Sure.
I have gone on Facebook, when on Ellie's site, you can ask her. When there is a question about what the board did, I try and answer it without criticizing someone for feeling this way or without feeling that way. It's just the facts of what it is.
But that's
Now, hold on, let me finish. But when on Facebook, everyone's saying, oh, well, the board doesn't, the board does. I might not agree with Ann 100% of the time. We know that. But we can discuss something and come to a common ground. I don't always agree with anyone on the board. There are times when I've disagreed with all of them. And I've put in more time on this board than anyone else on the board right now. I've put in more time, and not because I have all that time to give, but because I believe in what I'm doing. And I believe in working for Timber Oaks, whether it gourds my feelings or not. I knew we needed to replace the pavers. I am one board member who uses that pool every day, or just about every day. And for 3 weeks, I will not be able to use that pool. But it's the right thing to do for Timber Oaks. Those pavers need to be paved. So when you go on Facebook and all these people are saying, oh, they don't care. And I've taken grief from people. I've gotten grief for closing it in March, and those saying, oh, thank you for not doing it in the summer when everyone else does it in the summer. And, it's just,
There's no good time to do it.
there is no good time, and that's what this board had to decide. So when you're saying that the board was, happy that the meetings were closed, no, we weren't. We were thinking of what we felt was safest for Timber Oaks. You guys elected us to be your representatives. We, as a representative, we don't all agree. But if the majority goes along with something, we do it. I might think the meeting should still be closed, and it's not because it would be faster. But the board voted to open the meeting with certain restrictions. Fine, the meeting will be open with certain restrictions. So don't say the board does this, the board does that. The board works for Timber Oaks, and there's not one person on this board that I would say does not.
I'm not gonna go back with that because I would be here for another hour and I wanna leave myself. But, as far as the pool situation, I know darn well you didn't wanna have the pool done while you were here. You're right, you do use it every day. That's part of the reason why it stayed open and everything else got closed.
No.
If Jerry, I know you're a pool person too, but.
It's not, it was the right thing, the thing that we can do. But you know what? I'm not going through life justifying everything I do.
No, you, I know you very
I
well.
thought what I did, and every board member up here voted the way they thought was the right thing to do. And if people don't understand that, then they have a problem. We don't have a problem, they have a problem.
Well,
Because that's why we vote.
okay, well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, if you want to really start trying to go against residents and board members, when this whole thing started and everything was closed as far as the meetings go, I could understand. I love the pool. I haven't been to the pool in probably over a year, but I love it and can't wait to get back to it. But you, if you're so worried about the residents that maybe 20 of us that show up at meetings weren't allowed to come to the meetings, but the pool stayed open, you didn't have anybody out there guaranteeing that the people weren't on top of each other with a mask on. So we don't even want to get into that. That's a whole different ballgame. That's over and done. I just want to thank you for opening the meeting.
I just have a quick question. Okay. Are we going to have to wait for every meeting for you to decide if we?
No, it's open.
It's open now.
So you're gonna make it.
It's open.
Something happens and
So you're gonna make the other residents aware of that?
Well, we're not gonna send a
Sign or
robocall out.
something?
Robocall.
You guys have so many followers on your Facebook, tell them. and they'll come.
Well, I have no objection to that, and Sue is right, she responds whenever I ask a question, and Jennifer corrects me all the time.
when the next meeting is in the chamber, I'm sure it'll stay open.
Ellie, I always say things just,
I know, you can't help yourself.
I just want to
So
clarify.
now we don't have to come here and worry about the sheriff waiting for us, right? Because there were pros and cons on Facebook. Some favored the closure, and when I tried to get the CAP class to come to my house, some said, no, I'm not going out to other places. So people themselves made their own decisions, and I canceled the little party. But now I can advertise that the line dance and tap will be open, right?
As long as you keep social
That's the
distancing.
way I understand.
Yeah. Okay, so if people follow the rules, we're fine, okay?
Okay,
Just don't wear masks, that's all they gotta do.
okay. Okay,
I don't need Jerry.
Okay.
See, that's the important thing.
Well, I know.
No therapy, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, good meeting.